monster in the woods. I'd been running for hours, the sun having set long ago. The moon was now glistening above the treetops, its silver rays beaming through the leaves. It still gave little light to the dark forest, and I was blindly dashing through branches and brushes. Dead leaves and fallen branches crunched under my boots, and a few times my feet would stumble over a fallen log or a hidden hole. But on I ran, because every time I showed any sign of stopping or slowing, I heard it. It was lumbering after me, tearing its way through the trees in its pursuit, so I couldn't stop. I couldn't slow, because then it would be upon me. I'd been running for so long that my body felt numb. My lungs no longer burned for air and my legs no longer pulsed with energy. I had passed the point of exhaustion, and pure fear-induced adrenaline is what kept my body moving. I didn't know where I was running, or what lay ahead of me in the shadows of the forest. My sight was useless, and I could navigate only with touch. The blackness of the woods was swallowing, and every tree, log, branch, and hole I crashed into was only discovered by the touch of my hands. The thing had wandered into my camp just before dusk, and we had sat watching each other. I think it was just startled as much as I was, and our eyes were locked in a stunning embrace. Then it screamed. I took off running in the direction of what I thought was the road. I didn't hike that deep into the woods out of inexperience and the fear of getting lost. Well, that happened anyways. The creature had ignored the raw beef that I had left beside the campfire, and its focus was squarely on me. What could be fresher than meat that still had blood pumping through it? So it chased after me, grunting and snorting as it did. I was sure I had twisted both of my ankles, and I'm sure any bare skin exposed was covered in cuts and bruises, but on I went, the horror behind me being enough to keep me going. It's when the ground disappeared below me that I finally stopped. I fell into darkness, and I didn't feel it, when I collided with the earth. Birds were singing somewhere above me, and sunlight shone its way through my eyelids. I awoke at the bottom of a small creek bed, the water barely a trickle. The sky above me was clear of clouds, and the brilliant sun cast its warm glow over my cheeks. I lay there for some time, feeling the warm rays upon my skin. Then the horror of the previous night invaded my tranquility. I sat up with a start and immediately vomited from the motion. My head spun from the sudden movement, and it hurt to breathe. As the world danced around me, I admired the purple swollen stubs at the end of my legs, my ankles so bruised that I was sure it would be impossible to take my shoes off. My legs were littered in deep gashes and cuts, and dark yellow bruises coated any area not covered in blood. While my body fought back, I forced myself to turn my head and look around. The ditch I was in was a tight one, and I'm sure it was nearly impossible to see even in the daytime. No one walking nearby would even know I was here. And even if I could scream, I'm sure no one was around to hear it. I collapsed back into the rocks and mud, closing my eyes and breathing slowly. Every inch of my body hurt, and I had the depressing feeling that I was going to die out here. I couldn't walk. My arms were too battered to crawl, and my throat was too sore to cry for help. I was alone in the woods, and no one would ever find me. My eyes flew open as I heard a twig snap from somewhere overhead. Something was getting closer, and it was large. I could hear it snapping branches and logs as it approached. I could hear it grunting and snorting. It was back. The thing from last night was back. I could feel my eyes starting to water, and my racing heart pounding against my ribcage. A silent scream escaped my lips as a dark shadow creeped over me. I tried to crawl away, but my arms were too weak. All I succeeded in doing was leaving claw marks from my hands in the mud. This was it. I was going to die in more pain than I was already in. "Oh, you okay?" A man's voice said from above me, and I could feel small pebbles bounce off my head and shoulders. The man carefully maneuvered down the side of the pit and knelt beside me. He had a bushy brown beard and kind brown eyes. He wore a black knitted beanie and a green plaid shirt. He surveyed my damaged body and let out a sharp whistle. "You've been through hell, haven't you, kid?" he mumbled, stroking his beard in thought. My tears of horror had turned into tears of relief as I gazed up at my survivor. This man was probably the most beautiful man I'd ever seen, and I wished I could thank him, my mouth gaping like a fish moving open and shut with no escaping sound. "Take it easy, buddy. You're with me now. Everything's gonna be alright." I saw a flash of something dark come over the man's eyes, and his lips curled into a wide, toothy smile. "You're with me now," he said again, and his hand reached up and wrapped around my throat.